Hi guys, sorry for the delay in getting this video out to you. I've been hit with the lurgy. I don't know if it was the virus that we cannot name on YouTube or just man flu, but I've been out of action for a couple of weeks and then sort of get playing catch up on everything that I didn't do when I was ill. I had mentioned in the last mental health video about how I picked up some pretty bad habits in the way that I engaged with the hobby in the past. I wanted to expand on that a little bit more today. But I don't want this to turn into a video bashing Games Workshop or any other model company or rules company. I don't subscribe to the conspiracy theory that Games Workshop is manipulating us and all these kind of things any more than any other company is with marketing. At the end of the day, these companies exist to make money, and you may agree with that, you may not, but this is not really the forum to discuss the pros and cons of late stage capitalism. So let's just proceed assuming that nobody is an evil puppet master. What I'm really trying to talk about is my personal experience of how I was chasing dopamine in the wrong way and trying to get that good hobby feeling, but maybe not doing it in the most sensible or healthy manner. Maybe I was sucked in by marketing more than I thought I was and more than I care to admit, but with hindsight, yeah, well, we'll talk about that later. As this is a talky one, you can enjoy some pictures of my collection for the excellent game Turnip 28 from Max Fitzgerald. I'll come back to how awesome this game is a little bit later on. I'm really interested to hear if any of you guys feel similarly about the hobby and the sort of the way I'm talking about it today, or have felt that way in the past, especially being like swept up by the hype train. God, I sound really old saying hype train. It's for the young people to say. Do you have maybe more self-control than I'm admitting to? And do you keep your hobby budget in a limit? And do you keep your spending to a set amount every month? Are you even one of those rare people who is able to paint all of your models before you buy any more? Apparently, these people exist. I'm not convinced, but if you're one of them, let me know in the comments, and let me know how you do that. What methods you use to stay disciplined and get painting done and finishing these projects off. But anyway, let's crack on.
As I said last time, for a long period of time, my hobby was almost exclusively buying stuff. In particular, buying almost everything Games Workshop released. And this really came to a head when the pandemic hit. There wasn't really a lot of other ways to engage with the hobby. Like in my head, I had these grand ideas about getting everything in my backlog painted and emerging from the pandemic with dozens and dozens of painted armies. But I think maybe like a lot of hobbyists, that didn't happen. Looking back, I don't even think I spent maybe more than a few hours painting over the whole, 18 months lockdown. Every time I went to start something, I was just massively aware of all the other insurmountable goals that I'd set myself with other projects, and I didn't know where to start, so I didn't start at all. I have subsequently found a few solutions to this. The major and quite drastic one was to really downsize my collection. I had a huge clear out, selling probably more than half my stuff. I had to really have a frank discussion with myself about what I was never ever going to get round to painting and playing with, which was, yeah, most of my collection. I reckon with hindsight that I could have even been a bit more brutal with the clear out and got rid of even more things. The other thing I did was to try and stay away from sales posts and marketing as much as possible. I think we all like to kid ourselves that we're immune to sales pattern. Like, oh yes, marketing doesn't work on me. And I certainly believe that. I've worked in sales myself. I've worked for Games Workshop myself, so I definitely know at least some of the tricks of the trade. But then I realized that no, the marketing was working on me. I would be excited for every release. I'd be scrolling through Warcom, looking at all the articles and piecing together rules from bits of codexes that they'd shared. And even if it was games or armies I had no interest in playing, I think I put like 3 Age of Sigmar armies over lockdown, and I don't even play Age of Sigmar. I got it into my head that, yeah, I'll do this one day and I'll finish it one day. And yeah, it really sort of came to a head when I bought, I think, 3 of the Black Templars pre-release boxes because I thought, oh, I might do Black Templars at some point in my hobby career. But yep, they sat on the shelf for a couple of months, and then I was like, no, I need to sort this out. I have a bit of a problem. And sure, I still see stuff on Warcom. It's kind of hard to avoid it, especially if you're also on others, other social media. Like, if you're on Facebook, they're always sharing things there, or Discord, people will share articles and things like that. And a lot of the stuff is very, very cool. I'm really excited for Legion Imperialis, the little 6 mil, 8 mil epic scale stuff that GW have been teasing. If we ever eventually get it, I'm really looking forward to that. But every time something new is announced, I make sure to ask myself, do I actually need or even really want this? Almost always the answer is no. One great piece of advice I got from a friend who, I won't name them, but they'll probably be watching and know who they are, and they have a probably even worse buying habit than I do. That make a note of potential things that I might want to buy when I see it. I put my stuff on a spreadsheet with the prices and lay it all out, and then come back to it in a few days. If you're still excited and hyped for it, yeah, it's cool. Maybe it's a project you can take on, but if you come back to it a few days later and actually you're not that bothered, then you might have saved yourself a bit of money. This has allowed me to hold on to my cash a little bit longer rather than just immediately chucking stuff in my basket and ordering it. I've also found it easier to stay off the hobby hype train since dipping my toes into other game systems. Just before I moved back to Scotland last year, I was feeling totally overwhelmed by how many things I needed to get done. I had a whole gaming venue to hand over to the local gaming club, as well as about 100 different armies I wanted to either finish painting myself or to finish off with the commission painters, or just the normal stress from moving to the other side of the country. It was a big move anyway, and it's pretty stressful. And I just wasn't engaging in the hobby, and I was trying really hard not to buy stuff because I just had a big clear out. But then I came across a game called Turnip 28. It's an alt history, vaguely Napoleonic skirmish game. It's very humorous, lots of Monty Python and Blackadder humor, and loads of magic root vegetables. And it was just the breath of fresh air that I needed to remind me that the hobby's actually about having fun and about being creative. The rules encourage you to kit bash weird models and create your own units. And I built my first army for the system completely out of my bits box, just stuff I already had lying around. The rules are available for free, and soon I was having heaps of fun with this absolutely bonkers rule set. And I can't recommend it enough. Now, it does seem a bit, I guess, counterintuitive to suggest playing more games will help you finish projects off. Generally, though, I realize that the Relentless release schedule from especially the mainline Games Workshop games was really grinding me down. I just felt like I didn't have time to keep up to date, and now I've taken a step back from certainly from 40k, and playing loads of other games has actually freed up so much headspace for me to enjoy what I'm doing, in front of me on my hobby desk. I'm just having a look now, and I've got some 10mm Napoleonics sitting there. Something that a year ago I would have said you'd be mad to say I was playing Napoleonics. Games from these smaller studios, and especially historical rule sets, they don't have as much new stuff for them. And honestly, I really appreciate that. A new source book and a couple of new box sets are more than enough to keep things fresh for me and to keep, I don't want to say the meta, because historicals don't really have a meta, but to keep the gameplay and the projects something new to do. But I don't feel like I need to spend hours poring over rule books and codexes and source books and expansions just to know what a Space Marine does. And again, since I've gotten into historical wargaming, I feel like I can really sit and enjoy working on a project. It's not like suddenly Roman legionaries or French line infantry are going to get a new. Well, they might get new models, but the rules for them are unlikely to change, making my old collection of Romans or French or whatever irrelevant. Very rarely do games like Black Powder release a source book that gives a new box set of super powerful new rules. You know, you're not suddenly going to get a new tank for your Napoleonic French. You might get some new cool models or some alternative sculpts, but very rarely are you getting a whole new unit. So I still get to spend hours reading up about my force, but I'm doing that by digging into history books and learning and doing a lot of research rather than poring over these rule books that sometimes the rules are pretty complicated.
So I guess I'm kind of struggling to come up with a nice, well-rounded conclusion for all of this. It's turned into a bit of a ramble, as they often do. But if I had to say one thing, it would be to broaden your hobby horizons. There's lots of studios and companies out there that encourage a healthy engagement with collecting rather than using rules as a vehicle to drive the purchase of more toys that you're never ever going to have time to finish. Check out games like Turnip, and One Page Rules is another really popular one. I've not played their rules, but I know loads of people really like them. There's the Rampant series of games. Xenos Rampant is like a cool 40k alternative and lets you use your models. There are hundreds of small studios out there, all producing, well, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them producing really, really good games. Uh, and a lot of them are free or pretty cheap to get into. And usually they're miniature agnostic. So you've probably already got an army for a lot of these games if you've got, a sci-fi army or a historical or a fantasy army. But I suppose I should probably come to some kind of end. Yeah, if you've got any rule suggestions that you would recommend that you've gotten into and have really inspired your hobbying, your collecting, your painting, link them down below. Let us know about them. And do all of that good liking, sharing, and subscribing. And I'm going to try and be better at sticking to some sort of schedule. Maybe try and aim for a video every couple of weeks. But now that I've said that, I've committed myself, and I'm definitely not going to manage to keep to it. But anyway, I will speak to you soon, and bye.